So this thing always takes into a minute, 1 minute into a time.
It's not taking 1 minute. Is that ads from 25?
Yes. No, that's yeah, 25.
Those are ads from 25?
No, this is 30 actually. That's 25.
Yeah, so it should take up our time. It's part of Freshly Press. It's what's paying for Freshly Press in Monday.
Okay, let's do Twitter.
Dial star 894 hash.
Andy,
Get started.
the filming.
Live first.
Don't
Yes.
forget like you did yesterday.
Okay.
What they should do.
Shops.
You are listening to Smooth
Just want to be sure you're
That would acknowledge you on air.
shops.
We'll see. Devo Korea. Who's the last one? What was it?
pressed on Smooth 8.1.
Tariq. Training again.
You first. First
Tariq.
bag.
Good morning, Lagos. Welcome to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's Freshly Pressed 981. We'll bring you detailed analysis of stories making rounds in the dailies. And of course, you're welcome to be a part of our conversation. Now, leading us through these conversations this morning, we've got in the studio Lakunle. Good morning, Lakunle.
Morning, Kayode. Morning, Shopwell. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Good to have you here. And we have Mr. Devo Okori in the studio. Hi,
Good,
Devo. Go
good
on.
morning, ladies. Shops. Mr. Baker Lakunle Eku, who stole my cocoa.
Alrighty, and we got you. So please don't forget to reach out to us on our various platforms. We're streaming live right now on YouTube. It's youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. And also, you can reach out to us on Twitter. Please use the hashtag freshlypressed981 and send your WhatsApp messages to 0809 444 0981. All right.
Yeah.
So, Shopper, you have the first story.
I actually just remembered. Okay, so we're starting off this story. It comes in from the Guardian newspaper, and the headline is Nimasa alleges sabotage of territorial waters by other GOG member states. Now, according to the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, aka NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jama, there is a continuous sabotage of Nigeria by states in the Gulf of Guinea because these countries, according to him, are angry that Nigeria is getting all the commendations and support in the fight against piracy. And I'm going to quote him now. He said, "Whatever happens in the Gulf of Guinea, either in the territorial waters of Nigeria or Sao Tome or others, these member states point fingers at Nigeria. Our integrity is stained. Nobody respects us anymore due to the member states of the Gulf of Guinea." Now, if you recall, news came out earlier last week saying that the European Union had said it was going to deploy its members' warships to the Gulf of Guinea to stem piracy in the region. All right, so Devo, I'm coming over to you for your take on this topic, especially as we're seeing news of foreign vessels in Nigerian waters helping us in the fight against piracy. But did we invite them? A lot of things happening here. I mean, this particular story goes kind of all over the place. Touches on the Deep Blue project
Yes.
and other, a lot, and also about a South Korean chip that will cost 1.4. How much was it? 1.4 million dollars.
And that's coming also because that was donated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, you asked a very pertinent question. Did we invite them? Literally, not only yes, a big S, YES with underline, but we have been begging for foreign intervention, especially in our naval waters. where piracy has been a big issue that actually has been unreported for ages. Most times you hear about our Navy, but you don't get to hear about when they go to battle or whether they're succeeding or not. Even literally, the Navy has been supporting onshore activity of insurgency and insecurity as against the real issue, which deals with us on the borders of Nigeria, where we have territorial waters with other countries. Now, NIMASA, because this is where it tells on the country, because it's on the business side. So NIMASA was speaking. There are the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. So that's why they were led the initiative of the Deep Blue project, which cost the federal government about $195 million worth of assets. Okay, now and security infrastructure. And he was saying that another $1.4 million was to help bring in this ship being donated by Korea to be able to guard the waters properly. Now, the aspect of him alluding to neighboring countries pointing fingers at us was, would I call it cheeky? Because, I mean, when you talk of countries like Togo, Ghana, Gabon, Guinea, Sao Tome, you're talking of countries that are like 6 inches below us. If you get what I mean. So if smaller countries point at the supposed big brother, should the big brother be pointing back? Now it's expected that we lead. We're the countries that those countries actually look up to actually defend them, because from what he was saying, that it's not just a Nigerian thing, that the fight will require the collaboration of all the countries within the Gulf of Guinea, simply because of the incessant kidnapping of and killing of seafarers. Those are ocean marine officers, the hijacking and stealing of properties, and others. Now remember, many of the foreign countries from the EU to as well as the Korea that support it, it's because many of them pass through Nigeria for some of their shipping activities. So literally, in protecting the waters,
it doesn't just affect us.
Yes,
it
it
affects
affects them. So they support their own operations here while protecting us at the same time. Well, they've said since the 195 million procurement of assets through the Deep Blue security project, that Nigeria has had its best time in maritime safety in 28 years. But it hurts and pains me, because really, for the lack of a better word in vernacular, big brother, they fall hand.
All right. Well, let's hear what you have to say, Lagos. 0809-444-091. Let's move on to our next story from the Guardian newspaper, and it comes to you, Lakuli. It says police arrest 37 suspects over alleged banditry in Sokoto. Now, to put a context to this, the police command in Sokoto State says it has arrested no fewer than 37 suspects over alleged banditry in some parts of the state. Now, all the suspects were linked to the notorious gang leader, Turji, and they all have confessed to their complicity in the crime of banditry. And I purposely put that out there. I want to know what your thoughts are about this story.
It's a good news coming out from Sokoto. Sokoto hasn't been one of the states that's always in the news for banditry. Yep. So if in Sokoto they are able to arrest some now, that means that it suggests two things. One, that the places where they operated before now is becoming uncomfortable for them, and they are looking for other places to go to.
Okay.
And then the part of it that is good is that the police in Sokoto have now arrested some of them, which means that it signals to them that this is not a place you can easily get to. Now, I'll just like to congratulate the police for being up to the task of at least arresting these people and getting some info. So what is next is for them to be able to interrogate these suspects and be able to ascertain their complicity and possibly prosecute them, to set some form of notice to the others that when you are caught, this is what you go through as well. I'm not them stopping at that.
Although they've been charged to court already.
So let the prosecution go and let it be very quick, so that we can see the justice would have been seen to have been done. Okay, so not stopping there, it's also an opportunity for government not to wait for eradication in quotes of this thing, before some things are done. So government also need to start to think of to do things to discourage younger people or new people from signing up into these dastardly acts. Open up the schools, provide trade centers, opportunities for the young people to
So that they would not be
express their
recruited into
exactly, so that they
such.
cannot be easily recruited into this, because of course, like they say, the idle hand is the devil's workshop. So if they have opportunities to express these their energies positively, maybe then would probably not be talking about banditry and terrorism in its various forms.
All right, thank you so much for that, Lakuni. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube, and we'd love to have your comments there as well. So it's youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos.
All right, let's move on. This coming in from This Day newspaper: Nigerian cocoa farmers losing $400 per ton to West Africa counterparts. This is an interesting one.
Very.
Okay, so Devo, let's get into this. Let me just give a little bit of a background for the story for you to launch off of. Now, this, according to the national president of the Cocoa Farmers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Adeola Adegoke, this loss of $400 per ton is due to the unregulated cocoa industry, and he estimated that to be at about 55 billion naira annually. And I'm going to quote him now before I go over to you for your take. He said, because of the unregulated cocoa economy in Nigeria, there is no measure put in place to be able to collect this $400 aside from the floor price that we sell our beans. This $400 is an addition that is meant to support the livelihood of the cocoa farmers in all cocoa producing nations. In Ghana and Ivory Coast today, they are collecting it, but today Nigeria is being denied $400 per ton. By whom, Devo?
Right, like I mentioned, who stole my cocoa? Now, this story is very interesting because of it's one of the areas that shows how, as a nation, we've not optimized the free gifts that God has given us. Okay, and I'm referring to one of them that's actually been around for decades now. That's cocoa. Nigeria has been making some minimal fringe profits from exports of cocoa beans. Okay, now if you remember, as they said, the first high-rise building or skyscraper in quotes was built in Nigeria from the proceeds of cocoa in the late 1960s. All right, but because of the discovery of oil, we literally forgot our first love and started chasing, side, what do I call oil side chicks now? However,
sorry, side chicks have displaced the main chick.
you see, now the problem here is that the cocoa farmers are complaining about the price differential that comes with the sale of cocoa. And let me just give you a breakdown. Now, in terms of cocoa beans, they're sold per ton. Okay, a ton is 1,000 kg. Now, around Southwest, where the cocoa comes from, a ton of cocoa goes for about 750, 760, 730-ish. So let's just use the 750,000 benchmark as the price per metric ton of cocoa. Now, it's sold in other countries, that's Ghana, Ivory Coast, other countries that are into the cocoa export as well, at about $2,200. If you use even what do you call it, official rates, it comes to about 990,000, which is averagely ₦1,000,000 naira. Okay, now if you minus that, the difference is about 180K. Let's say about a difference of about 150,000, which is equal to that $400 ish that they're complaining about. And the only reason that those countries are able to sell at that rate is because they have some level of regulation. Their countries, just like Nigeria regulates oil production and sales, they also have national presence in their cocoa farming and export sales. So they're saying that that difference, because it's unregulated, obviously for profit, some people will sell less just to be able to get their cocoa sold out, right? Now, if you times that by the national production, which is about at a high of I'm not saying high, it's reached 250,000 metric tons. It comes to about 55 billion. And this is what they're saying could have made a difference in the lives of those farmers.
Now, 1 second, Devo, because I see where we're going. So let me just chip this in. So the House of Representatives has actually come out to talk about this. There was a motion that was that calls for adoption of this motion from Ademorin Kuyi of APC Lagos.
Yes.
yesterday, and he said that the federal government needs to develop a national policy on cocoa production, which which goes into what you were saying, right? Because where there's a will is where we can find the money, right? Okay, so I just wanted to chip that in. But
yes, now the executive willingness to actually do this is where it's lacking. And the pointers I want to bring out is, you see, we're still referring to the so-called cocoa business in Nigeria comes from smallholder farmers. Smallholder farmers is what we learned in agriculture called substance. I, for one, am tired of hearing that word at a national scale. Which day will our smallholder farmers, who are the true beneficiaries of the goods of this country, become mechanized farmers?
What do you recommend, as opposed to you saying the government should this?
No, I recommend the full implementation of that national cocoa transformation plan. I want to see interventions take a long-term point of view. What we have currently are short-term interventions. It's not going to get us there. Okay. The regulation that cocoa farmers were asked that has to do with price management, yes, that's part of it. But I want to see them transform those cocoa farmers from smallholder to mechanized.
Yeah, with short-term versus long-term points of view, we need to move on. Bird's eye view. Time is going.
Yes, real quick though. Let's move on to the next story from the Punch newspaper. Marketers labor one as federal government pushes refinery repairs to Buhari's successor. This comes to you locally. So the way the story was written is it's quite thin here. It says the regime of President Major General Muhammadu Buhari will not be able to complete the repairs of the Comatose refineries and will be expecting the next government to continue with it. However, they're saying that 60% of the repair of the two Port Harcourt refineries, can be done before leaving office. The ones that were in Kaduna will take much longer. But what do you make of all this?
Yoruba people say Abajo.
Abajo, see you.
Can you explain it to all the Chamas and Zainabs?
So
go on.
So the story is somehow at the beginning for me. I just like people to also, all of us, to agree that government is a continuum. It doesn't matter the individual who sits there at any point in time. So the idea that one administration, I prefer to use that word than the one that is in the story, would not finish something should not be a big deal. I guess everybody should understand what I mean by that. So a government has committed to doing something. So whether the man who signed it is there or not, it should be taken for granted that it should be continued. It should be finished at whatever time. Okay, so the warning by the trade union and whoever, I do not think comes into play right now. Also, subsidy removal was targeted for June 2022 before now, and it's been extended by another 18 months. That means it's now pushed to the end of 2023. That's what it is.
Not,
however, it is now targeted to be end of 2023. Now, the contract to repair the refineries in Port Harcourt has been awarded since April 2021. The one for Warri and Kaduna, with a combined capacity of, I think, about 225 million barrels per day, 225,000 barrels per day, is been awarded, I think, as of August 2021. It will take about 18 to 24 months for it to be completed. The one in Port Harcourt, about 210, the two in Port Harcourt combined, about 210 million barrels per day production, is been to be done for 24 months or thereabout. So essentially, the time the proposed time for removal of subsidy and the time this refinery should be completed would possibly coincide. Don't forget, Dangote refinery is supposed to go live third quarter of this.
But we keep on saying this is Dangote refinery. Excuse me, sorry to cut you short. And does it really have much? When we're working on our refineries,
Dangote refinery is supposed to go live 650,000 barrels a day production line. It's supposed to go live sometime now. Yeah, so it's supposed to add to the volume we produce in Nigeria. Don't forget, Dangote is not going to sell in naira. He's going to sell in at the international market rates himself.
Okay.
So the only difference, according to the minister, is that there is no freight costs in buying from Dangote. We are going to buy the same rate we buy anywhere else. You get what it means? But the thing about it is that locally, then means that within Nigeria, we'll be producing about 1 million barrel, 1 million 1 million, we'll be refining 1 million barrels per day, right? And from that we can get up to about 130 million 1 million liters of PMS, which means we're even doing much more than we consume daily. This means that it then translates to that we can even sell refined products to the outside world. So that's where the people will say, when all these things work, we will save the naira will improve, because of course we know that that's what exactly. So let's just be comfortable. Let's just be hopeful that the refineries will get the repairs will be completed in time for the subsidy removal, and we can give a sigh of relief that things will go well.
All right. Thank you so much, Lakunle.
Now, do send your messages in to 0809 440 981 up on WhatsApp. Use the hashtag FreshlyPressed981 on Twitter, and go over to youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos, where we are streaming live to leave your comment up on the live stream. Going over to WhatsApp, Nisi has this comment. He says, unfortunately, it's not only cocoa but other farm produce. For example, it would be difficult for a cassava farmer producing gari to transcend poverty.
All right,
let's move on to our next story, which comes in from This Day newspaper. Senate moves to establish 500 billion naira solid minerals development bank. This is a bill sponsored by Yakubu Oseni of APC Kogi Central, which is seeking to establish a financial institution known as a Solid Minerals Development Bank, and that has passed second reading at the Senate. Now, this bill also seeks to boost the solid minerals sector and the quality of life of the people by providing financial and non-financial investments in the sector. Now, Devote, you're quite excited by this development.
This move,
so tell us about it.
I think it's the smartest thing our National Assembly has ever done for the Nigerian people. As you know, like we mentioned earlier, we forgot our first love, which is agriculture, and has focused on oil production almost to our detriment as a country. Now, as people would actually say, the mineral resource curse, all right? But what has literally happened is that ever since Obi Ezekwesili, when she was the then Solid Minerals Minister, published a feature on 44 known solid minerals in Nigeria in commercial quantity. That was proof.
The amount that we have is
yes, that was proof that literally we are sitting on the proverbial on gold. And what would what the paradox or the irony is that the poorest states in Nigeria, the states facing the highest level of insecurity, are the states sitting on the highest levels of commercial quantity solid minerals.
Why would you think that's a paradox? When we look at countries that are sitting on these same sorts of minerals, we see violence, we see unrest, we see insecurity. When the business world tends to be focused on getting out that whatever it is that is useful to them.
Yes, so it's the strategic thinking that's missing here. And here, what the National Assembly is saying is that currently, I was in mining at some point, and I remember when I asked some of my fellow artisans at the mine that, how do you guys go about your process? They said, well, once they discover some kind of gemstone somewhere, they throw dynamite. Wow!
Oh, wow.
The pieces that blow is what they pick. That's not what you see when you go to countries like South Africa. You see them take real machines and they cut their way into the ground.
I'm sorry, no, Devo, go back. What did you say?
Yes, they throw dynamite. So that's how crude our artisanal mining is. And this is literally what has led to some level of insecurity in the north, especially Zamfara, in Jos, etc., where you have tin. Now, what the National Assembly is saying is that if they establish the Solid Mineral Development Bank, which they propose to inject with 500 billion, which I actually believe should be at 1 trillion, this will enable those within that sector to be able to address loans to small, medium, and large-scale enterprise companies in mining, quarrying, manufacturing, and ancillary industrial support services. Now, remember, this is actually a fiscal measure, okay, meant to actually address non-oil sector economic activities, especially in the solid mineral sector. And what I hope to see, if it passes the reading, and obviously it's not going to be in this budget, we'll be looking at the next administration, is that policy and funding will match. because a lot of times we do the talk shops. We just say potential, this and that. So, like I said, it's the smartest move that the National Assembly has ever made in a long time, because what it will do, the economic implications I don't know, just incredible.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We're taking messages up on WhatsApp 0809-444-0981. We see messages from Gilbert, Fabian, and JJ. And this one says, good morning, everyone. I beg to disagree with Lakunde. Though governance should be a continuum, if a previous government begins with the White Elephant Project, the succeeding government doesn't have to continue with it. So much money has been pumped into repairs of these refineries. We need a breakdown of what has been done so far. And that's from Fabian.
We have one analyst calling for all of them to be sold off, another one saying, hey, repair. Let's move on to this one from Gilbert Musa, who says, on the safety subject in the Gulf of Guinea, which dates back to a BBC African magazine report between 2008 and 2010, moving forward, security operatives employed to watch the waters should be audited properly to reduce their alleged involvement with the pirates. And this message in from JJ, who says, refinery repair and elections coming up. I laugh in Togolese. I want the headlines. I'm waiting for the headlines in 2023. Don't let me predict the future.
All right, we'll also take messages up on our YouTube platform, and we'll get to that as quickly as possible. But let's move on to our next story real quick. This one from Premium Times talks about the Constitution Amendment, and it comes to you, Lakuni. So it says, reps move to increase education qualification of president to minimum of BSc. When I heard the story this morning, I was like, I kind of like this, but there are mixed reactions to this one. What are your thoughts about this?
It's neither here nor there.
You have to adjust for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually, for me, my opinion is actually neither here nor there.
Okay.
We could say that leadership, it's something that so to a large extent, leadership is not about ABC or 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
It's about application of what we call common sense, even though we agree that common sense is not so much common. Yeah. So if you look at it from points of arguments, we've had graduates lead this country. What did we come out with? We've had non-graduates lead this country. What did we come out with? So why would we say that must be a basis for anybody at all to aspire to lead this country or any part of the country at all? Okay, but being that it is as it is an incentive possibly for people in this category, yes,
to be the ones to
push themselves forward, to want to aspire to want to lead. It's a good incentive, but I do not think that it is a must, right? So we don't need to over legislate a lot of things. We can leave some of these things open like it is on the constitution right now, and then at the party level, they can use other means to streamline the kind of people who can run. I mean, if we start to put all the little details such as this in the constitution, we would have succeeded in over legislating everything. That's my opinion.
All right.
So I think that we don't necessarily have to concentrate on this. What is important is the thoughts in the head of the person, the ability of the person who wants to lead to communicate his thoughts to us so that we can understand and flow with what he thinks it is.
Luckily, we are going to have to stop that story for now because we've got one more story that we need to get to before time does run out for the show. And it comes in from this newspaper. Senate OK's bill to stop advance yearly rent. This came yesterday. The bill passed a second reading. Passed for a second reading. This bill to stop landlords in the Federal Capital Territory from demanding yearly advance rent payment from tenants. Now, sponsored by Senator Smart Adeyemi, who said that it sought to replace the current annual advance rent payment with monthly payments in arrears. And we had some comedy later on in from a couple of senators who said that it would end corruption among the workers and immorality amongst young ladies who engage in desperate activities to pay their rent. But putting that aside, let's focus on this because this topic of yearly versus monthly rent has been coming up time and time again recently. I mean, your thoughts on this?
Okay, so from two perspectives, as a landlord, and that means that I'm doing business. Okay, how is it best for me to receive my money? I want to take it upfront and
12
annual,
months annually.
and I'm good. Once a year, I get my money. I can do other things, and that's perfect for me. Okay, so if I have multiple houses I'm giving out as for rent, I only know that in specific times of the year I can get that, and that's part of being the business. I get my money. I'm good. Now, from the perspective of the tenants, which is where I think that the Senate is actually looking at this from. Okay, so there is a level 14 officer who lives in a house in Abuja that's supposed to pay 2 million naira rent per annum. How much is the salary of the 14 level 14 officer in a year, for example, that I will need to cough out 2 million naira in multiple years, maybe 2 years minimum the first time to pay. So when you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense to have this. Like I said, legislation sometimes don't solve this problem.
Legislate things.
Exactly.
However, though, I want to ask this real quick and in one sentence, just to wrap up our show. Do you think this is sustainable? Do you think this will happen? In one sentence.
I do not think so. I do not think it's sustainable. I do not think it will be effective.
The
Right.
problem
Because
is
we'll find a way to bend these corners.
remember, this is just Abuja, and who's going to enforce it? Between the landlord and the supposed lady that comes to ask for rent, who is going to enforce it?
All right. Too much for that, guys. Well, that's our show. But tell you what, you can catch well, the rest of it on YouTube at youtube.com/smooth91fm, Lagos. And you can catch our analysts on social media as well at Lakuli70 across all social media platforms and at Devo Okori as well. In a few more minutes, it'll be time for Lagos Talks 981. So please stay with us.
The female landlords too.
My village people came visiting today.
Wow.
What happened?
They